Wasn't it always your word against theirs? So you can say, I wasn't doing anything suspicious, but they could say to the judge, he was doing this and that. So don't we always have to stop and at least acknowledge and say, well, what can I help you with? Or ask them, what did you see me do that looked suspicious to you? Can we say that?
I wouldn't do that, because then it sounds like you're almost admitting that you were engaged in some sort of suspicious activity. You can say, if you want, you can say, officer, is there a problem? Okay, you're not required, if you're on foot, you're not required to give them any sort of ID on you. Pedestrians are not required to carry ID, okay? If you're driving a car, that's a completely different circumstance. But if you're just on foot, you don't have to give the officer any ID. And as Suzanne already said, you don't have to answer any other questions. Now, if they're just kind of questions you don't mind answering, like, where are you coming from? There. Where are you going? There. No problem. But if they start asking you anything that you feel is too intrusive, you have the right to stop and walk away. Say, I'd like to discontinue this conversation.
If you're on a bike, you have to give them ID?
If you're on a bike, no, because you're not required to have a license to ride a bike. However, if they're going to write you some sort of ticket, they're going to pressure you for some sort of ID to make sure whoever they're writing the ticket for is that actual person. But since you're not required to have it, I'm not so sure that there's anything they can do. It's not in the statutes. If you ride a bike, make sure you have some sort of ID.
If you don't have an ID when you're on a bike, they issue you some sort of citation. I mean, like, do you legally have to give them a name? Like, if you gave them a name that was false, would they be able to the process there?
If they're going to write you a citation, give them your correct name. Because if you don't, you've just signed yourself up for a more serious crime, okay? Giving false information to a police officer, that is a misdemeanor. However, you went from having a simple sort of traffic incident now to actually having a misdemeanor on your record. And you do have to sign the bottom of a ticket, whether you're in a vehicle, on a bike, if they're writing you a ticket. All that is a promise that you'll show up for court. It's not saying what you accused me of, I did. It is saying I promised to show up to court. If you do not sign the bottom of that ticket, the officer then has a right to arrest you. Part of the reason you're signing that ticket is so he can send you on your way, because you now have your court summons. You're not willing to agree to a court summons, he has to take you down to the station. So just sign the bottom of the ticket.
And do they have to tell you? I asked why. What am I signing? I was happy to sign. I said, could you tell me, because it's this long?
Right.
And you wouldn't tell me.
They should tell you. I mean, there's nothing in the law that requires them to tell you. And quite honestly, I couldn't tell you whether or not that officer actually knew why you had to sign, other than he was told, when you write a ticket, make sure you get them to sign at the bottom of the form. So that could have been part of the problem. When an officer comes in contact with you, don't try to take control of the situation, because that is just going to upset them. They're there, they're worried about their safety, so they want to be in control.
In your situation, if they won't explain to us what we're signing, do we sign it and then make sure we look at their badge number, or what do we do next?
Their badge number should be on the ticket, but yes, get that information. They should explain it to you, but if they don't, you should still sign the bottom of a ticket. Now, if they have you sign something else, like a consent form to search, that's completely different. Don't sign those. Don't sign those. I am just talking about citations, traffic tickets, tickets for bikes, jaywalks, okay? I am not talking about giving them permission to search.
Usually in the part of the ticket that you sign, your court date and time and place is right there, and sometimes it even says something, you know, that I'm aware of this court date, and that's the purpose of signing the ticket, because then they're putting you on notice that this is your court date. Then if you don't come to court later, they can issue a warrant saying, look, he or she knew about this, they signed right where it says the court date. And if you don't sign, normally they'll take you to the police station to give you a more formal notice of the court date there.
That was going to be my question. What if you want to go to court right away? I mean, maybe you don't want to wait 2 weeks or however long it takes.
If
If by not signing, does do they then automatically have to take you to a judge or what?
Yeah, they only automatically have to take you to jail. And then if you go before the judge, even at that point, the judge isn't going to decide whether or not the ticket was warranted. They're just going to give you a date you have to come back to discuss whether or not the ticket was warranted. So you're still going to have at least 2 court dates, even if you force them to take you to jail. So you're better off just signing and making 1 court appearance. When I say don't try and take control of the situation, don't touch the officer. You know, some of us are touchy-feely people. The officers see that as you being aggressive. You know, like, hey, wait a minute. Any sort of movement you make in their direction, they're going to take as you being aggressive. And that could end up in a police report, or that could end up in them restraining you and handcuffing you for no really apparent reason. So kind of put yourself at risk. I know it shouldn't be that way, but that is kind of the stage we're at right now in our community, and it got worse after 9/11. We saw this very clearly working in the court systems, that some of the things that prior to 9/11 the judges were like, whoa, that officer was way out there on a limb, he shouldn't have done that. They give them a little bit more leeway now because of the officer safety issue. I'm not saying it's right, I'm just kind of letting you know what the legal climate is right now. So don't make any quick movements, don't make any movements towards them, don't be disrespectful, okay?
And what about my rights? The officer was this close, he's huge, and I'm trying to de-escalate him. I've had a couple of lessons in de-escalation, but not enough to, you know, could you please step back about a foot? And could you please lower your voice? I mean, none of that worked.
And that's about the best you really can do. You can tell him, I really feel that you're threatening and invading my space. May I step back? You know, keep it in a respectful tone, because anything negative you do towards them, they're going to hold it against you. You know, they're going to restrain you. It may end up in a police report. They may escalate the situation even more, and it may get written up that you were aggressive or you assaulted the officer, when actually all you did was say, hey, what's the problem? So be careful of that.
I think you win a police contact later, not during it. I don't think you can control it. I don't think they're ever going to let that happen. And I don't think you're ever going to look like you win until later, when you don't get charged. Or you get charged and you win.
Never run from the police. Even if you haven't done anything wrong, because the act of running gives them probable cause now to search you entirely. Okay? It just makes things that much worse for you. You're better off standing there talking to them, not giving them permission to search you. If you're in a vehicle and you get pulled over, don't instantly, and if any of you had a speeding ticket, we almost all do it. Okay, where's my license, my registration? Don't do any of that. Sit there, leave your hands on your steering wheel, and wait for them to approach the car. It may take them a few minutes. They're going to call in your license plate. You may be looking for his ticket book, whatever. Just sit there and wait till he approaches the car. And at that moment, he will ask you, I need your driver's license, proof of insurance, and registration. You have to have those items in your vehicle when you get pulled over, or you're going to get a ticket. And you have to give them your driver's license if you're driving, because driving is a privilege, it's not a right. So part of when you sign for your driver's license, you are saying that you will keep your license with them and that you will surrender it upon request. So because it's a privilege, make sure you have it with you and you do provide it to the officer. And if you have multiple identifications, just because this is a college campus and we all went to college and we know how that goes, don't keep them all together in your wallet, okay? I'll just leave it at that for those who are under 21.